welcome back to another video. Today I'm defending Daima. Of course, Daima, Dragon Ball Daima is that new show that came out recently, and it has received a lot of criticism, hate from Dragon Ball fans because mostly everyone wanted Dragon Ball Super to come out and did not like the premises of Dragon Ball Daima, as of course it is too closely regarded to Dragon Ball GT. Now I want to make sure this is so far from the Dragon Ball GT storyline, very far and very off the basis of the Dragon Ball GT storyline. The only thing that is similar in any aspect is that they're a kid. They're just kids again. That's the only similar aspect. While also with many people are modernized with Dragon Ball Z, where it's just inclusive fights. It's all fights, nothing but action, and barely anything story. When if you go back, many people don't, Dragon Ball itself is about the journey, the people you meet, the adventures you take along with the people you meet, the people that you gain, the friendships that you have. That's the original story of Dragon Ball. And of course, this is one of the last stories of Akira Toriyama, so rest in peace, of course. But that's the original Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball didn't become anything but non-stop action, I would say, until Super, where it was tournament after tournament, and a little bit like they didn't really go anywhere around the universe to see anything, to visit new people. Dragon Ball Daima gives you that retro aspect and nostalgic feeling of what original Dragon Ball supposed to be. The adventures, the different worlds, the things you see, the people you meet, how you gaining new friendships. That is that is at the core of what Dragon Ball is. But since new fans, or at least fans from I say about 2015 of Dragon Ball Z, just wants to see Goku power up and fight, which is also a part of Dragon Ball, just isn't the main component. It became more towards that as it builds more hype, more revenue, and it gives us more forms, more toys, more Dragon Ball content for us to ingest. That is what draws in the viewer, the fights, unfortunately. But Dragon Ball at its core, Dragon Ball Z at its core, is supposed to be an adventure fantasy anime, much like One Piece. The world building is supposed to be insane. You're supposed to see a lot of things. Very rarely you're supposed to see real big fights. First, you're supposed to travel around. You face a new enemy, you fight them. But mostly it's never about the fights. It's supposed to be about the story. And since I guess Dragon Ball Daima is retconning a few things, or turning away people because of its retconning a few things, they ruin it for themselves. Because much to the defense of Dragon Ball Daima, it's a story. It's a fictional story. And since anime fans, or as we as fans, are obsessed with canon and non-canon, we're still trying to figure out where to put Dragon Ball Daima. Not many people are going to put Dragon Ball Daima in canon just because it is made by Akira Toriyama. It is his last work, so they're going to put it in canon just because it is made by him. Other people will consider it non-canon just because it doesn't line up or match up to the Dragon Ball Super storyline, or what we consider canon now. Anyway, so that's the thing about Dragon Ball Daima. That's that they went back to what Dragon Ball is. For many people who wanted to see remastered or reanimated Dragon Ball, because a lot of people, I mean the majority of Dragon Ball Z fans right now have never seen Dragon Ball. I have seen Dragon Ball a little bit, but it's been a couple of years since I even ingested Dragon Ball content. Also, I blame Toei for leaving Dragon Ball behind, because you don't get to play the story in the games. You don't get to even go back to their stories. We meet some people from Dragon Ball, of course, as they're in the character selection, but we mostly leave them alone. We leave Dragon Ball as a masterpiece, and when they leave it alone, they don't even let you ingest it in the Xenoverse 2 story, the Fighter Z story, Kakarot story, or even I haven't seen a Dragon Ball game revisit Dragon Ball in a while. I could be wrong, but I don't remember of any Z or any new game recently to incorporate the Dragon Ball story. We just be like, but because Dragon Ball Z is just way more popular. And I'm not saying you need to watch Dragon Ball for you to understand what Daima is trying to do. It's just the original Dragon Ball is adventure fantasy story. Dragon Ball itself is a story itself, then action. The action is the small part, but you're supposed to be interested in the character designs, the world, the people, the rulers. You're supposed to fall in love with certain characters that you don't want to leave, separate from. Especially that android, I'm not thinking of its name. When Goku goes ape wild as a Dragon Ball, because the android dies, or at least presumes dies before he is rebuilt, he goes crazy. I mean, you're supposed to fall in love with these characters. But since they've gotten so far away from it, and so many new fans are just be like, fight, 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 like some instigators, they hate on it. And that's just not fair, because Akira Toriyama, at least, wanted to make a really cool, nice story. Now, I'm not going to hate on it. Of course, it has its flaws. Not every series is perfect, because no one is perfect. So there will be flaws in the series, and some criticisms are actually valid towards it. So I'm not saying your valid criticisms are invalid, but I'm saying why is it so different from Super or Z, or from Super, is because it's what Dragon Ball is. It's an adventure anime, and then you have these fights thrown in here and there, but it's an adventure anime. It's a fantasy anime. It's a world building anime. That's why One Piece, Naruto, and even Bleach take from it. Now, One Piece, I think, is the king of world building, but Dragon Ball did do a pretty good job if you're able to go back and watch the Dragon Ball series. Even Z does a pretty good job with Namek and even the Cell Saga. Not much of the Majin Buu Saga, just because of the thing. But anyway, just because the pacing is horrible. So subscribe. This is my opinion of defending Dragon Ball Daima. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll see you in the next one.